Welcome to Peacetime Story, a place where your mind can rest and your heart can find calm. Here, every story is told with love, comfort, and a touch of mystery, designed to gently guide you into a world of relaxation and peaceful sleep. If you enjoy these stories, don't forget to subscribe and become a part of our Peacetime Story family. Together, we'll create a space where every night ends with calmness, comfort, and sweet dreams. Now close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let's begin tonight's journey.
A blood-stained queen of spades falls in a candlelit Mayfair mansion, its cryptic mark a silent scream. Why did Elias Blackwood summon four strangers to a bridge game laced with secrets? As Hercule Poirot shuffles the deck, a dagger strikes and a scream shatters the night. Murder or mastermind's ploy? Who holds the fatal card, and what truth lies beneath their polished lies?
Chapter 1. The Invitation to Intrigue. The autumn fog clung to the streets of London like a reluctant lover, swirling around the gas lamps that dotted Baker Street. Hercule Poirot, the diminutive Belgian detective with his impeccably waxed mustache and egg-shaped head, paced the confines of his modest apartment. His companion, Captain Arthur Hastings, lounged in an armchair by the fire, puffing on a pipe and flipping through the evening paper. The room was a sanctuary of order. Polished silverware on the mantel, books aligned with military precision on the shelves, and a faint aroma of herbal tisane wafting from a porcelain cup. "Mon ami," Poirot said suddenly, halting his circuitous path, "one grows weary of these petty thefts and marital indiscretions. Where is the grand puzzle, the enigma that taxes the little gray cells to their utmost?" Hastings lowered his paper, his mustache twitching in amusement. "Come now, Poirot, you've just solved that affair with the missing sapphire necklace. Surely that's enough excitement for 1 week?" Poirot waved a manicured hand dismissively. "Bah, a trifle. The thief was obvious from the start. His footprints in the garden mud screamed his guilt louder than a town crier. No, Hastings, I crave something intricate, a web of deceit where every thread leads to another knot." As if summoned by his words, a sharp rap echoed at the door. Hastings rose to answer it, returning moments later with a cream-colored envelope sealed with crimson wax. The imprint bore an intricate emblem, a stylized key intertwined with a serpent. "For you, old chap," Hastings said, handing it over, "delivered by a messenger boy who vanished into the fog like a ghost." Poirot's eyes gleamed as he broke the seal. The paper was thick, luxurious, embossed with gold filigree. He read aloud in his precise, accented English. "Dear Monsieur Poirot, your reputation as a connoisseur of human folly precedes you. I, Elias Blackwood, humbly request your presence at my residence in Mayfair this evening at 8 o'clock sharp. A select gathering awaits, a game of bridge, but not as you know it. 4 players, each harboring secrets as deep as the Thames at midnight. Come, and let us deal in mysteries. Yours in anticipation, Elias Blackwood. P.S. Dress for intrigue. The night promises revelations." Poirot's mustache quivered with delight. "Ah, Hastings, see, the universe provides. This Blackwood, he is known to you?" Hastings frowned, rubbing his chin. "Vaguely. A collector of antiquities, they say. Rumors swirl about him. Fortunes made in shadowy trades, artifacts smuggled from Egyptian tombs, even whispers of involvement in that scandal with the lost Roman scrolls last year. Reclusive sort, lives in that sprawling mansion on Grosvenor Square." "Parfait," Poirot murmured, folding the invitation. "A man of secrets invites me to a game where secrets are currency. I shall attend." By 7:30, Poirot had transformed himself. A tailored black suit, patent leather shoes gleaming like obsidian, and a pearl tie pin that caught the light like a watchful eye. Hastings insisted on accompanying him to the door where a hansom cab waited in the mist. "Be careful, Poirot," Hastings cautioned. "This sounds like more than cards. Blackwood's crowd, they're not your usual bridge enthusiasts." Poirot chuckled. "Fear not, mon ami. Hercule Poirot is always careful. And if danger lurks, so much the better, it sharpens the wits." The cab clattered through the fog-shrouded streets, the clip-clop of hooves echoing off Georgian facades. As they approached Grosvenor Square, the mansion loomed like a sentinel from another era. Towering columns flanked by wrought iron gates, windows aglow with warm light that pierced the gloom. A butler, stern as a gargoyle, admitted Poirot into a foyer of marble and gilt, where Persian rugs muffled his steps. "Monsieur Blackwood awaits in the drawing-room, sir," the butler intoned, leading the way. The drawing-room was a symphony of opulence. Walls paneled in dark oak, adorned with oil paintings of stormy seas and ancient battles. A massive chandelier dripped crystal prisms, casting rainbows across a mahogany table set for bridge. Crystal decanters sparkled on a sideboard, filled with amber liquids that promised warmth against the chill. A roaring fire in the hearth crackled, its flames dancing shadows across the faces of the assembled guests. Elias Blackwood rose from a high-backed chair, a man in his late 50s, with silver hair swept back like a lion's mane and eyes sharp as flint. His evening attire was impeccable, accented by a ruby ring that glinted ominously. "Monsieur Poirot, what an honor!" Blackwood boomed, extending a hand. His grip was firm, almost challenging. "I've followed your exploits. The affair of the Orient Express was masterful." Poirot bowed slightly. "You flatter me, monsieur. But tell me, why summon a detective to a mere card game?" Blackwood's smile was enigmatic, revealing teeth too perfect for his age. "Because this is no mere game. Allow me to introduce your fellow players." He gestured to a woman perched on a velvet settee, her auburn hair coiled in an elaborate chignon, her emerald gown shimmering like serpent scales. Lydia Voss, the celebrated authoress. Her novels, they peel back the layers of society like a surgeon's blade. Voss inclined her head, her lips curling in a sardonic smile. "Charmed, Monsieur Poirot. I've read of your methods. Do you always solve crimes with such theatrical flair?" "Only when the crime demands it, madame," Poirot replied, his eyes twinkling. "Your latest work, Shadows in the Salon, it was most intriguing. The poison in the teacup, inspired." She laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Flattery from a master sleuth. I shall treasure it. But beware, my characters often meet grisly ends." Next was a tall, lean man with a hawkish nose and piercing blue eyes, leaning against the mantel with a cigar in hand. "Reginald Thorne, financier extraordinaire," Blackwood announced. "He turns lead into gold, or so the city whispers." Thorne nodded curtly, exhaling a plume of smoke. "Poirot, heard you're a wizard with puzzles. Ever dabbled in the stock market? That's the real game of chance." Poirot smiled politely. "Numbers, monsieur, they dance for me, but I prefer the human equation. Your recent venture in African mines, profitable, no?" Thorne's eyes narrowed fractionally. "You keep abreast of such things?" "Yes, quite profitable. But let's not bore the others with business." A soft voice interjected from the shadows near the window. "Indeed, business can be so tedious." The speaker was Mrs. Ilara Finch, a widow in her 40s, draped in black silk that accentuated her porcelain skin and raven hair. Her eyes, deep violet, held a melancholy depth like wells of forgotten sorrow. Blackwood continued, "Mrs. Finch, whose late husband was a diplomat in Constantinople. She brings a touch of exotic mystery to our gathering." Finch extended a gloved hand, which Poirot kissed gallantly. "Enchanted, madame. Your necklace, the Ottoman sapphire, a rare piece." She touched the jewel at her throat, her fingers trembling slightly. "A gift from my dear Edward. It carries memories, and perhaps curses, if one believes in such things." Finally, a burly figure emerged from the sideboard, glass in hand. "Dr. Harlan Graves," Blackwood said, "physician to the elite, with a penchant for rare poisons, medicinal, of course." Graves chuckled, his voice a gravelly rumble. "Poisons? Only for curing, Poirot, though I've seen enough deathbeds to know life's the ultimate gamble. Care for a brandy? It's aged 50 years, smooth as a winning hand." Poirot declined with a wave. "Non, merci. I prefer to keep the mind clear." As the group settled around the table, Blackwood shuffled a deck of cards with practiced ease. The cards were antique, edges gilded, faces illustrated with medieval motifs, kings with sly grins, queens with veiled eyes. "We play bridge, my friends," Blackwood declared, dealing the first hand, "but with a twist. Each rubber we wager not money, but truths. A lost trick might cost a secret. A grand slam could reveal a hidden shame." Voss arched her eyebrow. "Intriguing. But what if one's secrets are too delicate?" Blackwood's eyes sparkled. "Then the game becomes all the more thrilling." Poirot, seated opposite Blackwood, examined his cards, a strong hand in spades, with the ace of hearts lurking like a promise. "Very well. Let us begin." The bidding commenced. Thorne opened with one club, his voice steady but his fingers drumming the table. A tell, Poirot noted. Voss passed, her gaze flicking to Finch, who bid one heart with a hesitant lilt. "Two spades," Poirot announced, his tone measured. Graves grunted, bidding 3 clubs. Blackwood raised to 3 spades, and the auction spiraled. Thorne pushed to 4 clubs, Voss jumped to 4 hearts, a bold move that drew murmurs. "Double," Graves said, slamming his fist lightly. The play unfolded. Poirot led with the king of spades, trumpeting his strength. Thorne won the trick with the ace, but his discard, a low diamond, betrayed anxiety. Conversation flowed like the cards. "Tell me, Thorne," Voss purred as she played a queen, "that mine in Rhodesia, didn't it collapse last month? Workers trapped, fortunes lost. However did you escape the scandal?" Thorne's jaw tightened. "Exaggerations, my dear, a minor setback. The press loves a villain." Finch trumped the next trick, her voice soft. "Villains make for good stories. My husband once dealt with a rogue trader in the bazaars, sold fake relics to unwitting buyers. Ended badly, with a dagger in the dark."
Graves laughed. "Daggers? Primitive. In my line, it's the subtle toxins that fascinate. Belladonna for the eyes, arsenic for the indisposed." Poirot watched them all, his grey cells whirring. A finesse here, a ruff there. The rubber built tension like a coiled spring. Blackwood played masterfully, but a misplay on the 10th trick cost him a point. "Touché," Blackwood conceded, as Poirot claimed the rubber. "Your secret, then, Monsieur Poirot." Poirot leaned back, stroking his moustache. "A small one. I once lost a game of chess to a child prodigy in Brussels. It taught me humility. The group laughed, but Poirot sensed undercurrents, glances like hidden aces, laughter masking grievances. As the second hand was dealt, the fire popped, sending sparks aloft. Blackwood poured drinks, his hands steady. Another round? The night is young. Voss accepted a sherry, her eyes narrowing. Blackwood, that Egyptian scarab you acquired, rumor has it it's cursed, brings misfortune to its owners. He waved it off. Superstition, though odd things have happened since. Finch shivered. Like what? A servant fell ill, shadows in the halls at night, trifles. Graves swelled his brandy. Illness? I could examine that scarab. Poisons linger in ancient artifacts. Thorne snorted. Always the doctor. Stick to cards. The bidding resumed, sharper now. Poirot's partner, Blackwood, opened with 1 no-trump. Voss bid 2 diamonds aggressively. Finch passed with a sigh. Graves went to 3 no-trump, and Poirot, sensing weakness, doubled. Play revealed fissures. Voss overplayed a jack, losing to Poirot's queen. Drat, she muttered. My mind's elsewhere, plotting my next novel, a murder at a card table, perhaps. With us as suspects? Thorne quipped, but his eyes darted to Blackwood. The rubber ended in Poirot's favor again, drawing a forced smile from Graves. Your truth, doctor? Graves hesitated. Fine. I once treated a patient who didn't need it. For the fee. Harmless. Finch gasped softly. Harmless? Medicine should heal, not exploit. The atmosphere thickened, the fire's warmth unable to dispel the chill. As the third hand began, Blackwood leaned forward. 1 more rubber before supper. Raise the stakes? Agreed, Thorne said, his voice edged. Bidding flew, spades clashing with hearts, clubs undercutting diamonds. Conversations turned probing. Mrs. Finch, Voss said, leading with an ace. Your husband's death in Constantinople, accident or... Finch's card slipped. Foul play, they said, a rival diplomat, but no proof. Graves trumped. Sounds like a cover-up. I know signs of poisoning, jaundice, convulsions. Poirot noted Blackwood's pallor, a bead of sweat on his brow despite the room's comfort. The host played erratically, misplaying a key trick. Lost again, Blackwood admitted. My secret. I once forged a signature to acquire an artifact. Youthful folly. The revelation hung like smoke. Voss's eyes widened. Forgery? That's a crime. Statute of limitations, dear, he replied lightly, but tension crackled. As the evening deepened, Poirot felt the stakes personal, hints of embezzlement in Thorne's bids, veiled threats in Voss's words, sorrow in Finch's plays, menace in Graves' laughs. The game paused for supper, cold meats, cheeses, wines from Blackwood's cellar. Over port, Blackwood confided in Poirot aside. These guests, they owe me, in ways unspoken. Debts, favors, tonight unmasks them. Poirot nodded. And you, Monsieur Poirot, what do you hide? Blackwood's smile faded. Perhaps the greatest secret of all. Back at the table, the final rubber loomed. Cards dealt, bids soared. Poirot's hand was weak, but his mind sharp. A brilliant bluff won a trick, drawing applause. Masterful, Finch said. You see through us all. Not all, Poirot demurred. As the rubber concluded in a draw, rare in bridge, Blackwood rose. A fine start. More tomorrow? The guests murmured assent, dispersing into the night. Poirot lingered, watching Blackwood lock the card deck in a drawer. "Until next, Monsieur Poirot," Blackwood said. Outside, fog enveloped Poirot as he hailed a cab. Retiring to his armchair later, tisane in hand, he pondered the threads, forgeries, poisons, deaths, curses, a web spun, fragile yet binding. A faint smile played on his lips. The game had begun, and Hercule Poirot was dealt a winning hand.
Chapter 2. The Shadowed Trump. The morning after the cryptic bridge game at Elias Blackwood's Mayfair mansion, London awoke under a shroud of silver mist. Hercule Poirot, ensconced in his Baker Street apartment, sipped café au lait, his thoughts swirling like the steam from his cup. The previous evening's game had been a masquerade of motives, each player's bid a veiled thrust, each smile a feint. The invitation to return, delivered by a silent footman at dawn, lay on his desk. A single card, embossed with a black rook, reading, "Tonight, 7 o'clock, the trump casts its shadow." Captain Hastings, polishing his golf clubs in the corner, glanced up. "Another round with Blackwood's crew? You look like a cat with a canary, Poirot." "Non, mon ami," Poirot replied, twirling his mustache. "Not a canary, but a puzzle with claws. These players, Lydia Voss, Reginald Thorne, Ilara Finch, Harlan Graves, each conceals a card up their sleeve. Tonight I shall coax it out." Hastings grinned. "Careful. That lot sounds like they'd poison the tea and call it hospitality." Poirot chuckled, but his eyes gleamed with anticipation. "Then I shall drink only my own tisane." Determined to unravel the threads before the evening's game, Poirot embarked on a discreet reconnaissance. His first stop was a dusty bookshop in Charing Cross, where a bespectacled clerk, known for literary gossip, poured tea and secrets. "Lydia Voss," the clerk mused, adjusting his spectacles. "Her novels cut deep, too deep. Word is, her last book exposed a lord's indiscretions, thinly veiled. He threatened to sue, but she had evidence, letters stolen from his safe." Poirot raised an eyebrow. "Stolen? Bold for an authoress." "Bold as brass. And Blackwood, she dined with him last month. Left with a manuscript page, they say, one he didn't want seen." Next, Poirot hailed a cab to the city, where Reginald Thorne's office towered over Threadneedle Street. A secretary ushered him into a room of polished oak and ticking clocks. Thorne, immaculate in pinstripes, greeted him with a forced smile. "Monsieur Poirot, to what do I owe this visit?" "Your finesse at bridge, monsieur, impressive yet fraught. Voss's accusations? Embezzlement?" Thorne's fingers tightened on a fountain pen. "Her imagination runs wild. My ventures are sound. Railways, mines, all profitable. Though Blackwood's loans, he drives a hard bargain." "Loans?" Thorne hesitated. "He funded my last expedition. Expects repayment with interest. Artifacts, not pounds." Poirot noted the locked drawer behind Thorne's, its key glinting. A ledger, perhaps? At a Chelsea tea-room, Mrs. Ilara Finch met him, her black veil a stark contrast to the pastel decor. Over Darjeeling, she spoke softly. "My husband's death in Constantinople, it was no accident. A rival diplomat, jealous of his influence, laced his wine with belladonna. I keep his ring as a reminder." She touched a silver band, engraved with a crescent moon. "And Blackwood," Poirot prompted. "He authenticated Edward's relics for auction. Generous, but I saw him pocket a small idol, claimed it was a gift." Finally, Poirot visited a medical lecture hall where Dr. Harlan Graves was concluding a talk on toxicology. In a side room, Graves offered a cigar, which Poirot declined. "Blackwood's health?" Poirot asked. "Sound, but anxious. Prescribed valerian for nerves. He's paranoid, thinks his collection's cursed." "Cursed?" "Superstition. though I've seen artifacts laced with toxins, ancient traps for thieves. Evening descended, the sky a tapestry of indigo and gold. Poirot arrived at the mansion to find the drawing-room aglow with candlelight, the air heavy with the scent of beeswax and old vellum. The bridge table stood ready, its green baize a battlefield. The guests arrived, Voss in a gown of midnight blue, Thorn with a tense jaw, Finch clutching a velvet reticule, Graves exuding false cheer. Blackwood, his silver hair gleaming, welcomed them. Tonight we deepen the game. Losers forfeit not trifles, but confessions of past misdeeds. They seated, Poirot with Blackwood, Voss with Thorn, Finch opposite Graves, the antique deck, its faces etched with medieval knights and queens, whispered as Blackwood dealt. "First hand," he announced. "Bid with courage." Voss opened with 2 spades, her voice sharp. "Like my latest heroine, staking all on truth." Thorn bid 3 clubs, his monocle catching the light. "Truth! Your novels twist facts into libel." Finch, hesitating, bid 3 hearts. Hearts break easily. Mine did in Constantinople. Graves jumped to 4 diamonds, grinning. Diamonds cut through nonsense. Poirot, assessing a balanced hand with a strong club suit, bid 4 no trump. Blackwood passed. Voss doubled with a glint in her eye.
"Double? Audacious," Thorn muttered, redoubling. Play began, cards falling like verdicts. Voss led with the king of spades, her gaze piercing Thorn. "Your mines in Rhodesia, workers unpaid, profits funneled to secret accounts?" Thorn's card, a low club, trembled. "Baseless! My investors thrive!" Finch trumped the trick, her voice barely audible. "Thriving? My inheritance was stolen by forged documents. Courts failed me, but memory doesn't." Graves discarded a jack, chuckling. "Courts? I've signed certificates to spare families pain. Truth bends for compassion." Poirot, playing a queen, noticed a discarded 9 from Blackwood, its edge faintly scored, as if marked with a fingernail. A signal or oversight? The hand unfolded, tricks traded like barbs. Voss finessed a 10, smirking, like exposing a fraud in print. Blackwood, pale under the chandelier's glow, misplayed a knave. "A slip," he murmured, but his eyes darted to the door. Thorn won a trick, his voice edged. "Slips, Elias, like your smuggled artifacts? That scarab, stolen from a Cairo dig, they say?" Blackwood's smile was thin. "Rumors, Reginald, my collection is pristine." The rubber ended in a narrow victory for Poirot and Blackwood, amid strained applause. "Your confession, Monsieur Thorn," Poirot prompted. Thorn shifted. "Very well. I once altered a contract to secure a deal. No one harmed." Finch gasped. "Altered? Like my husband's will?" A sudden draft swept the room, candles flickering. Blackwood rose. "A moment. Business in the library." He exited, leaving silence thick as fog. Voss poured claret from a decanter, her fingers brushing a silver tray. "He's shaken. That scarab, cursed, perhaps?" Finch clutched her reticule. "Curses are real. Edward's idol brought nightmares, then death." Graves scoffed, sipping whiskey. "Nightmares? Try stress. I've seen men collapse under less." Thorn paced by the fireplace, muttering, "This game's a crucible." Poirot, examining the table, spotted another anomaly, a discarded ace with a faint pencil mark. Deliberate? He pocketed it discreetly. Blackwood returned, his face ashen, a folded paper tucked into his sleeve. A minor matter, a creditor's note. But Poirot's keen eyes caught the paper's edge. No stamp, no postmark. A threat, perhaps? The group adjourned to the dining room for a light supper, smoked salmon, asparagus, and chilled chablis. Conversation turned to lighter topics, but undercurrents persisted. Voss regaled them with a tale of a Venetian card game where a duke lost his fortune and his life to a rigged deck. "The knave was marked," she said, eyeing Blackwood. Graves countered with a story of a patient saved by a rare antidote, his tone hinting at withheld details. Sometimes withholding truth saves lives. Finch spoke of a bazaar in Istanbul where a merchant sold her a cursed cameo. "I burned it after Edward's death." Thorne, silent, toyed with his fork, his eyes on Blackwood's trembling hands. Supper ended, the group returning to the drawing-room. Blackwood proposed a final hand. "One more, to test our mettle." Bidding flared. Poirot opened 1 club, Voss 2 spades, Thorne 3 no trump, Finch passing with a sigh. Graves bid 4 clubs, Blackwood raised to 5. Voss redoubled, her laugh sharp, like betting on a sinking ship. Play was fierce, cards snapping. Poirot led with an ace, watching reactions. Thorne's discard, a low heart, bare a crease. Another mark? Finch won a trick, murmuring, "Edward loved bridge. His last game, he lost, then vanished." Graves trumped aggressively, "Losses linger. I've buried patients who gambled on quack cures." Voss, losing a trick, cursed softly, "My heroines never lose, unlike certain financiers." Thorne bristled, "Keep your pen off my life." The hand teetered, Poirot and Blackwood clinching it by a point. Cheers were muted, tension palpable. "Your confession, Madame Voss," Blackwood said. She smirked. "I once bribed a critic for a glowing review. My career needed it." Graves laughed. "Ethics bend in every trade." A sudden noise, a creak from the hall, halted talk. Blackwood excused himself again, this time to the conservatory. The group waited, glasses clinking. Voss leaned toward Poirot. "He's hiding something. That note, blackmail?" Finch whispered, "Like the threats Edward received before." Graves checked his pocket watch. "Nerves. I'd prescribe calm if he'd listen." Thorne stared at the fire. "Or he's playing us all." Blackwood returned, his tie askew, eyes haunted. A delivery, nothing more. Poirot noted a smudge on his cuff, ink or soot. The evening wound down, guests preparing to leave. Poirot lingered, offering to help clear the table. As Blackwood locked the deck in a drawer, Poirot glimpsed a hidden compartment, empty, but dust disturbed. Outside the night was crisp, stars sharp as truths. In his cab, Poirot reflected on the evening, marked cards, veiled threats, confessions peeling like onion layers. Voss's bribery, Thorne's contracts, Finch's cursed relics, Graves' ethics, Blackwood's pallor, all threads in a tapestry of deceit. The garden's shadows loomed in memory, whispering of a figure glimpsed near the conservatory, a servant or a spy. Back at Baker Street, Poirot lit a candle, its flame steady, unlike Blackwood's composure. The marked ace lay on his desk, its pencil line a silent accusation. The game had escalated, stakes no longer just secrets, but something darker. The shadowed trump had been played, its meaning obscure, but ominous.
Poirot's grey cells hummed, satisfied with the night's revelations, yet hungry for the next hand's truths. Chapter 3. The Fatal Lead. The dawn broke over London with a sullen glow, the Thames reflecting a sky bruised with clouds. Hercule Poirot, seated at his Baker Street desk, studied the marked ace from the previous night's bridge game at Elias Blackwood's mansion. Its faint pencil line was a cipher, hinting at deception woven into the cards themselves. The evening's revelations, Voss's bribery, Thorne's tampered contracts, Finch's tales of cursed relics, Graves' ethical lapses, had tightened the web of suspicion. Blackwood's ashen face and cryptic note lingered in Poirot's mind like a half-solved riddle. A new summons had arrived at first light, a single line in Blackwood's elegant script. The third hand deals fate. 7 o'clock. Captain Hastings, polishing his shoes by the hearth, looked up. "Another night of cards, Poirot? You're diving deep into this one. Any theories?" Poirot tapped the ace. "Theories, mon ami, many, but facts, few. Tonight the game sharpens. Each player holds a blade, but whose cuts deepest?" Hastings chuckled. "Sounds like a melodrama. Mind you don't end up in one." "Fear not," Poirot said, adjusting his tie-pin. "Hercule Poirot navigates with precision." Determined to probe further, Poirot spent the morning sleuthing. His first stop was a discreet club in St. James's, where a retired diplomat, Sir Reginald Hartley, sipped brandy and shared whispers about Ilara Finch's late husband. Edward Finch, a fine man but reckless. In Constantinople he tangled with a Persian merchant over a rare manuscript. Poisoned chalice, some say, not a fall. Ilara inherited his debts and his enemies. And Blackwood, Poirot pressed, supplied Edward with artifacts, rumors of smuggling, both involved, never proven. Next, Poirot visited a Fleet Street printer, a friend of Lydia Voss's publisher, who worked amid the clatter of presses. Voss, a vulture with a pen, the printer confided. She's writing a new book, they say, based on real scandals. Got a letter from Blackwood begging her to stop. Threatened legal action. Poirot's mustache twitched. Threatened. Interesting. At a dockside tavern, he met a former associate of Reginald Thorne, a grizzled trader named Malone. "Thorne's a shark," Malone growled over ale. "His shipping deals, half the cargo is undeclared. Blackwood bankrolled him, but Thorne's missed payments, owes a fortune." Finally, Poirot called on a chemist acquaintance in Bloomsbury, Dr. Clara Wren, to inquire about Harlan Graves. "Graves experiments with alkaloids," Wren said, adjusting her spectacles. "His research on aconite, deadly in small doses, is brilliant but dangerous. He treated Blackwood's sister years ago. She didn't survive." Armed with these fragments, Poirot arrived at the mansion as dusk painted the sky crimson. The drawing-room was a cocoon of warmth, its oak panels absorbing the flicker of a dozen candelabras. The bridge table gleamed, the antique deck waiting like a loaded revolver. The guests arrived. Lydia Voss in a gown of emerald velvet, her eyes sharp as quills, Reginald Thorne, his cufflinks flashing like warning signals, Ilara Finch, a sapphire shawl draped like mourning, Harlan Graves, his laugh too loud for the room's tension. Blackwood, his ashen-haired disheveled, greeted them with forced cheer. "Welcome, friends. The third rubber, where fate leads the play. Losers bear their darkest regrets." They seated, Poirot with Blackwood, Voss with Thorne, Finch opposite Graves. Blackwood dealt, the cards hissing softly. "Bid boldly," he urged, voice strained. Thorne opened with one diamond, his fingers drumming. "Let's cut to it." Voss bid 2 spades, smirking. "Like my prose, sharp and fearless." Finch, hesitating, bid 3 hearts. Hearts, they carry old wounds. Graves jumped to 4 clubs, his tone jovial but eyes cold. Clubs, solid, like a good diagnosis. Poirot, holding a strong spade suit, bid 4 no trump, probing. Blackwood passed, Voss doubled with a laugh like breaking ice. Double,
"You tempt fate," Thorn said, redoubling. Play began, cards falling like accusations. Voss led with a king of spades, her gaze locking on Thorn. "Your shipping ventures, Reginald, cargo logs doctored? I hear customs officers sniffing." Thorn's card, a low diamond, slipped. "Nonsense! My books are clean." Finch trumped, her voice a whisper. "Clean. My Edward's estate plundered by forged signatures. I see his ghost in every loss." Graves discarded a 10, chuckling. "Ghosts? I've eased patience to peace when pain was too great. No regrets." Poirot played a queen, noting a discarded jack from Blackwood, its corner torn as if deliberately marred. A pattern of marked cards?
The hand intensified, tricks piling like evidence. Voss finessed a knave, her tone biting, like exposing a liar's heart in print. Blackwood, sweat beading his brow, misplayed an ace. "A lapse," he muttered, glancing at the door. Thorn won a trick, his voice sharp. "Lapses, Elias, like your dealings in Cairo? That tablet, stolen from a tomb, they whisper." Blackwood's smile was brittle. Gossip, nothing more. The rubber teetered, Poirot and Blackwood edging ahead. As the final trick loomed, a scream shattered the air, high, piercing, from the hallway. Cards scattered, chairs scraped back. The group rushed out, finding a maid, pale and trembling, pointing to the study door. "Mr. Blackwood, he's—" Poirot led. Flinging open the door, Elias Blackwood slumped over his desk, a jewelled dagger, its hilt carved with serpents, protruding from his back. Blood pooled, staining papers scrawled with cryptic symbols. The room was a chaos of artifacts, a jade idol, a bronze urn, a papyrus scroll. Finch gasped, clutching her shawl. "Dead, like Edward." Blackwood's eyes gleamed as if plotting a chapter. Murder, how dramatic. Graves knelt, checking for a pulse. Gone, stabbed clean through. Thorn backed away, face ashen. Who was near? Poirot, calm amid chaos, barred the door. "No one leaves. This is now a crime scene. Madame, messieurs, your movements." Voss shrugged. "I was at the table, as were we all." Thorn nodded. "Never left my seat." Finch whispered. "I stepped to the powder room, briefly." Graves frowned. "I fetched my bag from the hall moments ago." Poirot's eyes scanned the study. A spilled inkwell, a broken quill, a window ajar, letting in a chill breeze. He pocketed a stray card, a queen of spades, found under the desk, its edge smudged with blood. He said, "Constables will come. Until then, we reconstruct." Back in the drawing-room, the group sat, faces pale under candlelight. Poirot paced, his voice precise. "The game paused before the scream. Monsieur Blackwood was last to leave the table. Where did he go?" The maid, trembling, spoke. "To the study, sir. Said he needed to check a ledger." Poirot nodded. "And you, Madame Finch, the powder room?" She nodded, eyes downcast. "I felt faint, needed air." Graves raised a hand. "My bag. I needed a tonic for a headache." Thorn snapped. "Convenient alibis." Voss laughed softly. "We're all suspects in my next novel." Poirot's gaze sharpened. "Suspects, we, but motives? Monsieur Thorn, your debts to Blackwood, pressing." Thorn bristled. "Private matters, paid in full." "Madame Voss, your manuscript, did Blackwood threaten to expose its sources?" She smirked. "He'd tried. I don't scare easily." "Madame Finch, the artifacts, your husband's rivalry with Blackwood." Her fingers tightened on her ring. "Old wounds, not motives." "Dr. Graves, your treatments, Blackwood's sister." Graves' jaw clenched. "A tragedy, not my fault." Poirot paused by the fireplace, the queen of spades in his pocket, heavy as truth. "We play the hand dealt. The dagger, an antique from the study known? Who had access?" The maid interjected. "Only Mr. Blackwood used that room, sir. But I saw a shadow in the hall earlier." "Shadow?" Poirot pressed. "Fleeting, cloaked, maybe, near the study." The group exchanged glances, suspicion crackling. Poirot continued. "The card I found, marked, like others, a game within a game." Voss leaned forward. "Marked cards, cheating or signalling." Thorne scoffed. "Absurd. Blackwood was paranoid, not a cheat." Finch whispered, "Or cursed. That dagger, it was Edward's, sold to Blackwood." Graves examined his hands. "Cursed or not, it's a murder weapon now." A knock signaled the constable's arrival, led by Inspector Japp, his face grim under the drizzle outside. "Poirot, you again! What's this mess?" "Murder, mon ami. A dagger in the heart, dealt mid-game." Japp sealed the room, taking statements. Poirot lingered, studying the players. Voss scribbled in a notebook. Thorne fidgeted with his watch. Finch twisted her ring. Graves polished his glasses. As Japp questioned the maid, Poirot slipped to the study, examining the desk. The papers bore symbols, alchemical perhaps. A hidden drawer revealed a letter, unsigned. "Your secrets end tonight." Blackmail, not a creditor. Returning, Poirot addressed the group. The fatal lead was played, not in cards, but in intent. Someone knew Blackwood's movements. Voss's pen paused. "You suspect one of us?" "We, but proof requires patience." Japp ordered the guests confined to the mansion, guards posted. As rain pattered, Poirot stood by the window, the queen of spades in hand. The night's chaos resolved into a pattern. Marked cards, a stolen dagger, a shadow in the hall. The murder was a bold trump, but the hand was unfinished. Blackwood's death was a card played too soon, yet Poirot felt the thrill of the chase, his grey cells aligning the lethal sequence, satisfied with the puzzle's grim clarity.
Chapter 4. The Alibis in Suit. Rain lashed the windows of Elias Blackwood's Mayfair mansion, the storm outside mirroring the tempest within. Hercule Poirot stood in the drawing-room, the queen of spades from the murder scene tucked in his waistcoat, its blood-smudged edge a silent accusation. The previous night's chaos, Blackwood's body slumped over his desk, a jeweled dagger in his back, had transformed the bridge game into a deadly gambit. The constables, led by Inspector Japp, had sealed the mansion, confining the 4 suspects, Lydia Voss, Reginald Thorne, Elara Finch, and Harlan Graves. Each bore the weight of suspicion, their alibis as fragile as the cards scattered across the table. Morning light, gray and unforgiving, filtered through the curtains. Poirot had spent the night in a guest room, his sleep punctuated by the creak of floorboards and the murmur of guarded voices. Over a breakfast of cold toast and coffee, served by a jittery maid, he reviewed the facts. Blackwood's death during a paused rubber, a marked card, a shadowy figure in the hall, and a cryptic letter hinting at blackmail. The game stakes had shifted from secrets to survival. Japp joined him, rubbing his eyes. "Rough night, Poirot. These vipers. Any one could have done it. Got a hunch?" Poirot sipped his coffee, grimacing at its bitterness. "Hunches, mon ami, are for amateurs. Facts align like stars. Today we probe the alibis, each a suit in this deadly deck." Leaving Japp to coordinate the constables, Poirot began his inquiries in the mansion's library, a cavern of leather-bound tomes and flickering lamplight. The air smelled of dust and secrets, shelves towering like silent judges. He summoned Lydia Voss first, her emerald velvet gown replaced by a somber gray dress, her eyes sharp despite the hour. "Madame Voss," Poirot began, seated at a rosewood desk, "your movements last night, precise, s'il vous plaît." Voss perched on a chair, her posture defiant. "I was at the table, as you saw. Never left until the scream. Writing's my vice, not murder." "Yet you scribbled during the chaos. Notes for a novel or evidence?" She laughed, a brittle sound.
A habit. Blackwood's death. Perfect climax for my next book, but I didn't script it. Poirot leaned forward. Your feud with him, over your manuscript. He threatened exposure. Her lips tightened. He claimed my sources were stolen. Hypocrisy, from a man who forged artifact provenances. I told him to publish and be damned. And the dagger? Never saw it before, though it's dramatic, fits his collection. Poirot dismissed her, noting her steady gaze but restless fingers. Next, Reginald Thorne, his pinstripes creased, entered with a scowl. Monsieur Thorne, your alibi. At the table, Poirot. You were there. I didn't budge. Yet your debts to Blackwood, pressing, no? A motive to silence him. His jaw clenched. Debts? Settled months ago. He lent me funds for a shipping deal, repaid with interest. Check his ledgers. And the study. You knew its contents. He showed me once, Poirot. Artifacts, papers, nothing to kill for. Poirot's eyes narrowed. Your cufflinks, missing last night. Lost in a struggle, perhaps. He touched his cuffs, startled. Misplaced, that's all. Look, I'm no saint, but murder, absurd. Ilara Finch followed, her sapphire shawl draped like a shield, her violet eyes red-rimmed, her voice a whisper. Madame Finch, you left for the powder room before the scream. Your absence, how long? Minutes, she said, twisting her crescent moon ring. I felt faint. Too much wine, perhaps. I returned to hear the maids cry. Your husband's dagger, sold to Blackwood. A painful coincidence. She flinched. I thought it was lost in auction. Seeing it, it's like Edward's ghost stabbed him. Blackwood authenticated your relics. Any disputes? She hesitated. He undervalued some pieces. I suspected he kept one, a jade pendant, for himself. Poirot nodded, dismissing her. Harlan Graves entered last, his doctor's bag at his side, his joviality muted. Doctor, you fetched your bag from the hall. Convenient timing. I sighed. Headache. Needed aspirin. I was gone a moment, back before the scream. Your knowledge of poisons. Aconite. You studied it. Could the dagger have been coated? Graves frowned. Possible, but unlikely. The wound was clean. Death instant. I'd stake my license on it. Blackwood's sister, your patient, her death. A tragedy, heart failure. I did my best.
Poirot dismissed him, his mind cataloguing. Voss's defiance, Thorne's evasion, Finch's grief, Graves's calm. Each alibi held, yet cracked under scrutiny. Mid-morning, Poirot explored the mansion, the constable's boots echoing on marble. In the study, he examined the crime scene anew. The dagger, now in Japp's custody, had been identified as Edward Finch's, its serpent hilt unmistakable. The desk held papers, a ledger listing Thorne's repaid debts, a draft of Voss's manuscript with Blackwood's scrawled objections, a receipt for Finch's pendant. A hidden panel in the bookshelf revealed a vial, empty but scented with bitter almonds. Cyanide or a decoy? Outside, the garden was sodden, paths slick with rain. Poirot traced the maid's shadow to a side door, finding muddy footprints, small, like a woman's. Finch or Voss? He pocketed a leaf caught in the latch, its shape distinct. Returning, he convened the suspects in the library, the storm's rumble underscoring his words. Mes amis, your alibis are suits in a deck. Plausible, yet suspect. Let us reconstruct the fatal moment. Voss crossed her arms. Reconstruct? We've told you everything.
Thorne snorted. This is theatre, Poirot. Finch murmured, Let him try. For Elias. Graves nodded. Proceed. Poirot paced. The game paused. Monsieur Blackwood entered the study. Why? A ledger, the maid said. But the letter, your secrets end tonight, suggests a meeting. Voss raised an eyebrow. Blackmail? He had dirt on us all. Précisément. Madame Voss, your stolen sources. Monsieur Thorne, your doctored logs. Madame Finch, your forged will. Dr. Graves, your questionable treatments. Each a motive. Thorne bristled. You're fishing. Poirot held up the Queen of Spades. This card, found by the body, marked like others, a signal perhaps of betrayal. Finch gasped. Marked? Like a curse? Graves scoffed. Superstition. Voss leaned forward. Or a cheat's code. Poirot continued. The shadow in the hall, small, cloaked. Madame Finch, your powder room visit, near the study? She paled. I didn't enter. Dr. Graves, your bag, contents unchecked? Graves opened it, revealing vials and syringes. Standard kit, no poisons. Japp, entering, interrupted. Poirot, we found something. A glove in the garden, monogrammed E.F. Finch's hand flew to her mouth. My glove! I lost it yesterday. Poirot's eyes gleamed. Convenient. Or planted. The group dispersed for luncheon, under guard. Poirot joined Japp in the dining room, where cold meats and wine did little to ease the tension. Japp, the glove, test for blood. Already on it, but this lot, they're slippery. Each alibi is a house of cards, waiting to collapse. Post-lunch, Poirot interviewed the staff. The butler, a stoic man named Perkins, admitted seeing Thorne near the study earlier, checking a coat. A footman recalled Voss lingering by the library, reading something. The cook swore Finch asked for a glass of water, looking pale. No one saw Graves, but his bag had been moved from the hall. Poirot returned to the library, sketching the timeline. Blackwood left the table at 9:45, Scream at 9:50. 5 minutes, enough for a swift strike. The dagger, Finch's, suggested premeditation. The vial hinted at poison, but Graves's expertise made it a red herring. The glove implicated Finch, but too neatly. The marked card pointed to a deeper game. He summoned the suspects again, this time by the fireplace, its embers glowing like eyes. Let us deal anew. Each of you confess a regret tied to Blackwood. Voss spoke first, her voice cool. I regretted mocking his memoir. He was hurt, threatened to sue. I laughed it off. Thorne followed. I regretted borrowing from him. His terms were steep, artifacts as collateral. Finch whispered, I regretted trusting him with Edward's relics. He kept one, claiming it was payment. Graves sighed. I regretted failing his sister. He never forgave me. Poirot nodded. Each regret, a motive. But the truth lies in the shadows. As evening fell, the storm eased, leaving a dripping silence. Poirot slipped to the study, finding a hidden notebook under the desk. Its pages listed transactions, Thorne's debts, Voss's royalties, Finch's auctions, Graves's fees, all tied to Blackwood. A final entry, the Queen falls at midnight. Back in the drawing room, Poirot addressed the group. The notebook, Blackwood's leverage. He held your secrets, demanding payment. One of you silenced him. Voss smirked. Prove it. Thorne glared. You're bluffing.
Finch wept softly. "I only wanted peace." Graves shook his head. "This is madness." Japp entered, holding the glove. "No blood, but mud matches the garden path." Poirot's mustache twitched. "The path leads to truth. Tonight we watch." The group was confined to their rooms, constables at every door. Poirot lingered by the study window, the garden dark beyond. The Queen of Spades weighed in his pocket, its mark a clue to a killer's hand. The alibis held, but cracks widened. Thorne's missing cufflinks, Voss's scribbled notes, Finch's glove, Graves's bag. The shadow in the hall loomed large, its identity veiled but near. Poirot sipped a tisane, his grey cells weaving the night's threads into a pattern, satisfied with the clarity of suspicion, the puzzle's edges sharpening under scrutiny.
Chapter 5. The Red Herring's Gambit. The storm had passed, leaving the Mayfair mansion cloaked in a damp, uneasy stillness. Hercule Poirot stood by the drawing-room's bay window, the dawn light casting long shadows across the polished floor. The murder of Elias Blackwood, stabbed with a jeweled dagger during a bridge game, had turned the opulent home into a gilded cage. The four suspects, Lydia Voss, Reginald Thorne, Ilara Finch, and Harlan Graves, were confined under Inspector Japp's watchful eye, their alibis probed but unyielding. The Queen of Spades, blood-smudged and marked, rested in Poirot's pocket, a silent witness to the deadly hand played. A new day promised fresh clues, and Poirot's grey cells buzzed with anticipation. Over a breakfast of poached eggs and weak tea, served in the dining room under the constable's gaze, Poirot reviewed the evidence. Blackwood's blackmail note, a hidden notebook detailing the suspect's debts, a monogrammed glove, and marked cards hinting at a deeper game. The library interrogations had revealed cracks: Voss's defiance, Thorne's evasions, Finch's grief, Graves's calm. Japp, nursing a coffee, leaned in. "Poirot, this lot's tighter than a miser's purse. The glove points to Finch, but it's too neat." "Got a plan?" Poirot's mustache twitched. "A plan, mon ami, always. Today we cast a net for red herrings, to see which fish swims free." Leaving Japp to oversee the mansion, Poirot began his morning with a discreet visit to the servants' quarters. The housekeeper, Mrs. Clara Dowling, a woman with steel-gray hair and sharper eyes, polished silver in the pantry. "Madam Dowling, the night of the murder, any unusual visitors?" Poirot asked, his tone velvet. "None, sir, but Mr. Blackwood was agitated all day, kept to his study, muttering about a reckoning. I saw Miss Voss near there before dinner, peering at his desk." Poirot nodded. "And the dagger?" "Kept in a glass case, sir. Only he had the key." Next, he cornered the footman, young Tom, in the scullery. "I saw Mr. Thorne in the garden that afternoon," Tom admitted, scrubbing pots. "He was burning papers, smelled like ink and wax." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Burning? Merci." He then sought the gardener, an old man named Higgs, raking leaves under a dripping yew. "Mrs. Finch, sir. She walked the paths that evening before the game. Dropped something shiny near the fountain. Couldn't find it." "And Dr. Graves?" "Asked me for belladonna clippings. Said it was for study. I refused." Returning to the mansion, Poirot examined the bridge scores from the fatal night, spread on the drawing-room table. Each bid, each trick told a story. Voss's aggressive doubles, Thorne's cautious passes,
Finch's hesitant hearts, Graves' bold clubs. A pattern emerged, deliberate misplays, as if signaling. He found a discarded score sheet in the wastebasket, its margins scrawled with symbols, a crescent moon, a quill, a coin, a vial. Coded messages? Mid-morning, Poirot gathered the suspects in the conservatory, its glass walls steaming from the morning's chill. Orchids drooped, mirroring the group's tension. "Mes amis," he began, "the game continues, though Elias is absent. Let us reenact the final rubber, to stir the truth." Voss, in a burgundy dress, smirked. "A performance? I'm game." Thorne, adjusting his tie, scoffed. "Pointless. We've said our piece." Finch, clutching a lace handkerchief, nodded faintly. "If it helps Elias." Graves, lighting a cigar, shrugged. "Let's deal." Poirot distributed the cards, replicating the last hand's bids from memory. Voss opened with 2 spades, her voice sharp. "Like my novels, striking first." Thorne bid 3 diamonds, his eyes darting. "You strike at shadows, Lydia." Finch, trembling, bid 3 hearts. "Shadows, they follow me." Graves jumped to 4 clubs, chuckling. "Shadows pass, evidence lingers." Poirot, playing an imaginary Blackwood, bid 4 no trump. The reenactment unfolded, cards snapping like accusations. Voss led with a king, her gaze on Thorne. "Your burned papers, Reginald, hiding debts?" Thorne's card, a low diamond, faltered. "Papers, old receipts, nothing more." Finch trumped, her voice soft. "Nothing? My pendant, stolen from Edward's collection, Blackwood had it." Graves discarded a jack, his tone dry. "Stolen? I've prescribed remedies for thieves, sedatives to calm their guilt." Poirot played a queen, noting a discarded 10 from the score-sheet pile, marked with a crescent moon. "This card," he said, holding it up, "bears a symbol, a code, perhaps." Voss laughed. "A writer's doodle." Thorne shifted. "Or Blackwood's paranoia." The reenactment paused, the air thick. Poirot paced. "The dagger was not the only weapon. A vial in the study. Bitter almonds. Poison, doctor." Graves frowned. "Cyanide. Possible, but the dagger killed him. I'd know." Finch gasped. "Poison? Like Edward?" Voss leaned forward. "A red herring, Poirot, or your imagination?" Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Herrings abound. Let us fish further." He led the group to the study, now cordoned by constables. The desk, cleared of blood, held a locked box. Japp, joining them, produced a key from Blackwood's effects. Inside, a forged invitation to the bridge game, penned in Thorne's precise hand, but scented with jasmine, Voss's perfume.
Thorne paled. "Not mine. I don't write invitations." Voss smirked. "Jasmine? A lady's touch, perhaps?" Poirot held up a syringe from Graves' bag, found by a constable. "Empty, doctor. Sedative, or worse." Graves bristled. "Sedative, for my patients. Check the label." Finch's handkerchief fell, revealing a hidden note. "The Queen must fall." Her eyes widened. I found it in my reticule this morning." Poirot pocketed it. "Planted, or yours?" The group returned to the drawing room, accusations flying. Voss cornered Thorne. "Your debts drove you to forge that invitation, didn't they?" Thorne snapped. "And your affair with Blackwood, your motive?" Voss laughed coldly. "Affair? Fiction. He rejected my manuscript, not my charms." Finch whispered. "He kept my pendant. A thief." Graves scoffed. "Thieves! I've seen worse. Patients begging for release from pain." Poirot halted them. Enough! The table holds answers. He lifted the bridge table's cloth, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside, a vial, half full, labeled digitalis, poison, mimicking heart failure. Graves paled. Not mine. I use morphine. Voss raised an eyebrow. Conveniently misplaced, Doctor? Thorne growled. Or planted like that glove. Finch wept. It's all lies, like Edward's will. Poirot paced, the vial in hand. Digitalis, in the brandy, perhaps. The sniffer by Blackwood's chair. Traces remain? Japp sent it for testing. The group, under guard, adjourned for tea in the parlor, the air heavy with mistrust. Poirot slipped to the garden, retracing the muddy path. A glint caught his eye. A cufflink, engraved with R.T. Thorne's? Back inside, he confronted Thorne privately. Your cufflink, monsieur, in the garden, near the study window. Thorne stammered. Lost it days ago. Or last night, escaping. Thorne's eyes hardened. Prove it. Poirot then approached Voss in the library, where she browsed a tome. Madame, your jasmine scent, on the forged invitation. She closed the book sharply. A coincidence. I spill perfume often. And your note-taking during the murder. Habit. Plot points, not plans. Finch, in the conservatory, clutched her handkerchief. Madame, the note. The queen must fall. Your writing? She shook her head. I swear, it appeared today. Graves, in the hall, examined a fern. Doctor, digitalis, your expertise? Graves sighed. I know it, yes, but I didn't use it. Evening fell, the mansion lit by gas lamps. Poirot gathered the suspects in the drawing-room, the bridge table, a silent accuser. Mes amis, the red herrings multiply. Forged invitation, misplaced syringe, hidden vial, dropped cufflink, cryptic note. Each points, yet misleads. Voss smirked. A puzzle for your novels, Poirot. Thorne glared. You're grasping. Finch murmured. It's too much. Like Edward's end. Graves lit another cigar. Let's end this charade. Poirot held up the crescent moon card. This symbol, on Finch's note, on the score sheet. A clue or distraction? Japp entered, holding a report. The sniffer, traces of digitalis, no fingerprints. The group gasped. Poirot continued. The killer played a misère, hiding their hand. But the glove, the cufflink, the vial, they point to all, yet none. Voss leaned back. So we're all guilty? Or none, Poirot said. The truth lies in the next trick. As night deepened, the suspects retired, constables at their doors. Poirot lingered by the fireplace, the crescent moon card in hand. The red herrings, forged invitation, planted glove, hidden poison, were a smokescreen, but the killer's tell flickered. A glance, a hesitation. The garden's muddy path, the study's locked box, the notebook's secrets, all converged. The game was narrowing, the fatal hand nearing its climax. Poirot's gray cells hummed, satisfied with the day's unraveling, the puzzle's contours sharpening in the firelight's glow.
Chapter 6. The Grand Slam Revelation. The crimson dawn bled across London's skyline, its light seeping through the heavy drapes of Elias Blackwood's Mayfair mansion. Hercule Poirot stood in the drawing-room, where the bridge table stood silent, its scattered cards a testament to a game turned deadly. Blackwood's murder, stabbed with a jeweled dagger, a cryptic note proclaiming the queen must fall, had woven a tapestry of deceit around the four suspects: Lydia Voss, Reginald Thorne, Ilara Finch, and Harlan Graves. The past days had unraveled their alibis, motives, and red herrings. Marked cards, a forged invitation, a monogrammed glove, a digitalis-laced sniffer, a hidden notebook. Yet the truth remained elusive, a shadow in the fog.
Tonight, Poirot vowed, the final hand would be played. The mansion, still under Inspector Japp's guard, hummed with tension. The suspects, confined to their rooms, had spent the day in restless silence, their breakfast trays untouched. Poirot, having declined the mansion's fare, sipped a tisane he'd brought from Baker Street, its herbal warmth grounding his thoughts. The evidence swirled in his mind: Voss's jasmine-scented forgery, Thorne's burned papers, Finch's lost pendant, Graves's empty syringe. The crescent moon symbols on cards and notes hinted at a deeper code, but the killer's hand was masked by misdirection. Inspector Japp, bleary-eyed, joined him in the library, where shelves loomed like silent witnesses. "Poirot, we're at a standstill. The coroner confirms digitalis in Blackwood's system, but the dagger did the deed. Any closer to cracking this?" Poirot's mustache quivered. "Closer, mon ami. The game is not cards, but motives. Tonight we deal the grand slam." Determined to unearth final clues, Poirot began the day with a private search. In the study, he examined the dagger's display case, now empty. Its lock was intact, but scratches suggested tampering. A faint smear on the glass, lip rouge, perhaps Voss's, caught his eye. He pocketed a shard of broken wax from the floor, its seal bearing a serpent like the dagger's hilt. Next, he ventured to the attic, where Blackwood's personal effects were stored. Amid dusty trunks, he found a locked diary, its key hidden in a cigar box. The entries detailed Blackwood's dealings, Voss's plagiarized sources, Thorne's unpaid loans, Finch's contested will, Graves's malpractice lawsuits. A final page, dated the murder night, read, "They circle like vultures. The queen falls tonight. My choice." Poirot's gray cells sparked. Suicide or a staged confession? He descended to the kitchen, questioning the cook, a stout woman named Mrs. Baxter. "Mr. Blackwood asked for brandy that night," she said, chopping onions. "Insisted on a specific bottle, kept in his study. Odd for him." "And the sniffer?" Poirot asked. "Cleaned before use, sir. I saw to it." In the garden, Poirot retraced the muddy path, finding a buried matchbox near the fountain. Inside, a scrap of paper with R.T. and a sum. £10,000. Thorne's payoff? Midday, Poirot summoned the suspects to the conservatory, its glass walls fogged with humidity. Orchids wilted, their scent closing. "Mes amis, the game ends tonight. Let us lay all cards on the table." Voss, in a black silk dress, folded her arms. "Finally, your theatrics tire me." Thorne, his tie loosened, glared. "This is a farce. Charge someone or let us go." Finch, clutching a silver locket, whispered, "I want truth for Elias." Graves, puffing a pipe, nodded. "End it, Poirot." Poirot held up the diary. Blackwood's words, "Your secrets. Each of you owed him, feared him. Let us revisit the fatal night one last time." He led them to the drawing-room, the bridge table reset with the antique deck. "We play no cards, but truths, the final rubber, reconstructed." Voss sat, her eyes sharp. "Reconstructed? I was writing, as always." Thorne leaned back, at the table, bitting diamonds. Finch murmured, "In the powder room, feeling faint." Graves shrugged, "Fetching my bag, headache." Poirot paced, the queen of spades in hand. The dagger, Finch's, sold to Blackwood. The digitalis, in the brandy, from his private stock. The note, "The queen must fall." And this diary, proclaiming Blackwood's choice.
Voss raised an eyebrow. Choice? Suicide? Thorne scoffed. Absurd. He was stabbed. Finch gasped. Like Edward. Graves frowned. Digitalis suggests poison, but the wound was fatal. Poirot's voice cut through. Precisely. A paradox. Let us deal the hand.
He recounted the evening, the opening bids, Voss's bold spades, Thorne's cautious diamonds, Finch's trembling hearts, Graves's brash clubs. Each move a mask. Blackwood left for the study, claiming a ledger, but the diary suggests he planned his exit. Voss leaned forward. You're saying he staged it? Poirot held up the matchbox. This, found in the garden, with Thorne's initials. A payoff, monsieur. Thorne paled. Nonsense. I paid my debts. And this, Poirot produced the wax shard from the study. A seal, broken. Madame Voss, your lip rouge on the dagger's case. Voss laughed. I touch up my makeup, not murder weapons. Finch's locket clicked open, revealing a miniature of Edward. Madame, your pendant. Blackwood kept it. Why? She wept. A memento. I begged him to return it. Graves' pipe smoke curled. Doctor, your syringe. Empty. Digitalis, perhaps. Graves bristled. Morphine. Labeled. Check it. Poirot continued, pacing. The red herrings dissolve. The glove, Finch's, planted. The invitation, forged. But by whom? The vial, Digitalis, but the dagger killed. The diary, Blackwood's confession. Japp, entering, held a report. The sniffer, Digitalis, confirmed, but diluted, not lethal. Poirot nodded. A distraction. The true weapon was the dagger wielded by Blackwood himself. The group gasped. Voss's pen froze. Suicide? Why? Thorne stammered. He had everything, wealth, power. Finch sobbed. No, he was haunted. Graves shook his head. Impossible. I'd have seen signs. Poirot raised a hand. Listen, mes amis. Blackwood orchestrated this game, not to die, but to expose. His diary reveals your truths. Voss's plagiarism, funded by his silence. Thorne's fraud, shielded by his loans. Finch's forged will, ignored for her loyalty. Graves' malpractice, buried by his bribes. He invited you, knowing your grudges, to play a final hand. Voss's eyes narrowed. He staged his death to ruin us? We. The digitalis, it trace, to cast suspicion. The dagger, his own plunged by his hand. The note, his script, the queen, his fallen self. Thorne stood, furious. Why? To torment us? Finch whispered, to cleanse his soul. Graves nodded slowly. Guilt, it festers. Poirot paced to the window, the Thames glittering beyond. Blackwood, a collector of secrets, grew weary. His forgeries, his smuggling, they weighed heavy. He dealt this game to unmask you, knowing death would seal the truth. Japp scratched his head. Suicide staged as murder? That's mad. Mad yet brilliant, Poirot said. The marked cards, his signals, ensuring I'd notice. The diary, his confession, hidden for me to find. Voss tossed her hair. So we're innocent? Of murder, we, but not of sin. Thorne sank into a chair. He played us all. Finch clutched her locket. Like Edward, always a step ahead. Graves extinguished his pipe. A master stroke. Poirot faced them,
his voice velvet. The game ends. Your secrets are bare as Blackwood wished. Justice, she deals the last trick. As the suspects dispersed, Japp clapped Poirot's shoulder. "You've done it again, old chap. Paperwork's in nightmare, but suicide it is." Poirot nodded, gazing at the dawn. The mansion emptied, its shadows retreating. In his cab to Baker Street, he held the Queen of Spades, its mark faded in the light. The puzzle was solved, the grand slam played. Blackwood's gambit, self-destruction to expose betrayal, left a bittersweet triumph. Poirot's grey cells rested, satisfied with the truth's elegant clarity, the game's final trick a testament to human folly.